Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Jim Carrey Project. This is the project where we're watching all of Jim Carrey's movies in chronological order. And I am your host, Brian Kondrach, and I'm here separate from, but with my co-host.
Carrie
Yeah.
Cary Grant.
Yay. And today we just finished watching Yes Man. Yes Man is a 2008 release. It stars Jim Carrey, Zooey Deschanel, Bradley
That's a hard
Cooper.
name.
Yeah, it is kind of a difficult name to say. Bradley Cooper, John Michael Higgins, Terrence Stamp. Was directed by Peyton Reed, produced by David Hyman and Richard Zanuck. And it's based on a book from
Danny Wallace.
Danny Wallace. Thank you very much. I was trying to find that on my computer, but it was not easily accessible. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. What'd you think?
What'd you think? I liked it. It's just like a feel-good movie that is easy to watch, and it's good Jim Carrey. Not too crazy, but solid enough in his performance of what you would expect him to be. I think Zoe is like adorable. Like she definitely was like, I think, getting a little more popular by this point, and everyone kind of just, she's goofy and everyone loves it, you know? So
yeah, definitely.
What's not to like?
Yeah,
what about you?
I think at this point she's not quite to new girl, but she's close to her breakout. Like she's in the middle of her breakout kind of period or whatever. Anyway, but
I don't remember. I know she's an elf. That's the one I remember like the most. And I don't know if that would be now or not, but I feel like when this movie came out, I knew who she was.
Yeah, she's definitely has been a part of our show. Well, let's talk about her in a little bit though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. It is a feel good movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. I remember seeing it in theaters when it came out and being very excited about it. It's as a rewatch, it's not necessarily as exciting or entertaining as I remember it being, but it was still a lot of fun. And you know, it was kept my attention well enough for it through the whole time. So
almost, that's where I was too. I actually wrote that down too. Not that it didn't hold up, but that I was like, okay, so what is what's happening in the relationship, and it's just so much of yes, and then a funny thing happening because of it, that there was a point where I was like, could they cut it shorter, or what should they have done?
Yeah.
Like it maybe like 5 minutes of too much of just him and her saying yes to things.
Yeah.
So just a little bit too much of it, and I thought it was right when I wrote it. It was like, okay, where's this relationship going? That's when that's right before that is, or right after that was when she said I love you, and he did, and then
they were in Nebraska,
then broke up.
Like that.
In a minute after that. But
yeah,
I kind of thought the same thing. I thought there could have been a little bit more development maybe with him or the relationship. I did notice they didn't bring her in right away. Like he met her, and then there was a little bit of period of him saying yes, but he hadn't seen her again yet until he went to the bar, which I thought was a good idea, to not have the whole thing about their relationship.
Yeah, you definitely have to set up a lot of the things that will get payoff later in the movie of being with Farnoosh, or the reason that they get into an argument at the airport and about living together and everything like that. So I agree that it was like, it's a good thing that they pushed that off a little bit, but it was like you could have had some more development in different areas with their relationship, because this is another one of those movies where the relationships that Jim Carrey has on screen are really what kind of define him in this movie and as an actor and in a character, the stuff we've seen before. And so seeing them have some development that's not just them being, yes, let's do this, yes, let's do this, yes, let's do this. Like, they could have had some more intimate moments spread out, as opposed to intimate and adventurous and breakup. But otherwise it's good.
Yeah. I mean, and what I will say, what I thought was good too that the movie did, is that it did show his relationships with other people. So I think his relationship with his two friends was pretty good. Like the best man one, I like that in the end he was like, you don't need to say yes to everything. Like, I'm glad he was the one trying to get him like to come back out of his shell.
A level
but also
moment.
was like, I thought that was a good relationship from the beginning. Like, he pushed him early on, and then he kind of accepted it, and then he they kind of all had fun with him having to say yes to everything, and then he was like, okay, that's enough. And then the other friend wasn't as developed, but also like showed that like some people do take advantage of that, which that's what his other friend was. The Danny Masterson character was just like taking advantage of everything he did, and then his relationship with his boss really developed as well. So like, it was good in that respect, and like what how his decisions are affecting, all of these different relationships. And I actually wrote down too, like, what did I say? Did the relationships grow with all these others? Or was it just a series of crazy, that was the different
antics.
I have to find it. Oh, I know. Okay. He seemed nicer. And I wrote, was he nicer because he keeps saying yes, or because he's happier with himself because he's making stronger relationships?
Yeah, I would definitely say that it was happier because he was making stronger relationships. I mean, that's just generally how people work, I think, is you develop relationships, you have connections and real earnest connections that will definitely make people happier in the long run. So I think they did a really good job of showing his real pitiful jerk side at the beginning of the movie, where he's just doesn't want to be a part of anything. Like 3 years after a really short 6-month marriage, like we don't know how long his relationship with his girlfriend was, or fiance was, or ex-wife, or whatever it was. But obviously it took a real toll on his mental health, because would you be friends with him in those years that he was being a jerk? Like, the fact that Bradley Cooper and Danny Masterson are like hanging out with him when he's clearly blowing them off so clearly, it's like, at that point, write him off and don't even be friends with him.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, buddy.
Well, yeah, I thought that too. I wrote down at the very beginning, like, why would people keep asking you to go out if you keep being a jerk and you're not wanting to do it? And I guess I think what would kind of maybe probably came out is that the Bradley Cooper character and him probably were friends from maybe college or high school, like a really long time.
Yeah, they've obviously been best friends.
Yeah, and you kind of imagine like maybe Jim Carrey's character wasn't always this negative and always this like down. So like they probably had a strong relationship before he basically became boring. But it says the reason his marriage broke up was because he wasn't trying new things, and so he honestly was almost like that while he was still married, which doesn't tell us why that was the case. Yeah,
he was in this rut before he even got divorced, which is like, I want to know what the 6 months of marriage was like, or what the relationship was going into the marriage of like, totally. how did like, I guess the whole engagement period was just kind of this crashing kind of thing until it's finally just dead on the couch or whatever it was.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of friends that most people have that at some point you will give up. If people will keep pushing you away enough, you will stop. Like, why would you keep going?
Yeah, I think you and I both probably have friends and people we know that are both like, meh, I'll just kind of like, whatever. I know, don't even invite them anymore.
Right. And it's kind of sad. I mean, I think we even have, some friends who will kind of, when they're feeling good, will say, "You don't give up on me. Keep asking me, but just understand when I say no, I just can't do it." And I kind of, at least they're honest about it, and I kind of like that, But I don't know.
They really kind of nail the feeling of depression and like that ennui of not wanting to do anything in life. But it sucks to be such a lonely person. So you just spiral down into it. Yeah. I have a lot of little tiny notes about like lines that were said that about being a yes man and everything like that. Because let's talk about that a little bit. Have you ever been to a seminar like that, a yes man, or like a motivational group like that before?
Not really. I'm trying to think. No, not really. No. Yeah. Have you?
Yeah, there's a group there's a group called Landmark Education, or Landmark something or rather, that is very much one of these kind of, you spend $650. You go and you spend a weekend in 12 hours of classes and community, like not communities, but like small groups, big group, back and forth, one-on-ones with like people you've never met before and stuff like that. And the end message is like they're trying to re-educate you to look at yourself in a more positive light and realize that whatever happened to you isn't who you are because it's not happening to you now, and you can move on past that stuff. But it very much feels like the yes man thing, where it's like, here's the covenant you're going to make with the world. And it's about a covenant that you make with yourself to accept who you are and realize that things aren't happening to you now that affected you as a child and blah, blah, blah. So it's
wow.
Like, really,
it sounds just like that.
It is. It was a weird experience. It was interesting, and I'm glad I did it. But it was also one of the ones where they'll call you every month for 6 months later and be like, hey, do you want to go to level 2 of Landmark?
Right.
And do you want to
join
this?
How did you decide? Did you have a friend or something that invited you?
A friend of mine that was really involved with it was, I was, where was I? This was 2013 or something. So like had been in Houston for a while, but I still hadn't like found my core group of people that I like was going to end up hanging out with, and where I am now, like everybody I know. Right. And so she was like, I've done this, you should do this too. And so she paid for my registration fee. So I was like, wow. Well, I'll give it a try.
Well, yeah, might as well then.
I'll say yes to it. And she was really back into it for that period of time in her life, but now I don't know if she is involved with it as much as she was, or even at all, where it was like, I definitely was like, I'm not continuing this after the first one.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as it's a positive message, and it's, and they're not trying to, once it's, they would just want you to come back and you just get, they just want your money. That's different. But if the general idea is like, if you need it at that time and it does help you, then I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that. And same with this situation, like, everyone who was there at that conference, who you at the end all got naked, which was really funny and hilarious. But I didn't look at them like they were having a problem, or like, it's just like people, I think it's natural for people to want to like try to better themselves, and that kind of thing,
Tim, is it not Tim Robbins? What's his name? Is it Tim Robbins?
Oh,
or is
no,
that that's
it.
That's an actor.
And Tim Robbins, he's the
is he the
he's
motivation?
the guru guy who does that kind of thing. Yeah, right?
Yeah. I thought Tim Robbins was an actor's name as well.
Oh, maybe it's not.
It is.
Something Robbins.
Something Robbins.
You're right.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know, the tall, big guy with the big hands. Yeah.
He who was in a movie similar to this, where he played himself in a movie called
Shallow Hal, right?
Yeah. So anyway, it was an interesting group, and it's like it did help at the time, but it also was like, hey, you should join Landmark. It's like, no, why am I telling people to join this? It's like, don't do it. Do your own research.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, It was fun.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of really fun and cool actors in this movie. We've got Jim Carrey, which of course everyone knows that one. This is his return to, the last thing he did was Horton Hears a Who, and then before that his last comedy was
Fun with Dick and Jane, or no?
Yeah, it was Fun with Dick and Jane. So another man kind of at the end of his rope before.
It had a little bit of a feel of Dick and Jane, but also what I really felt like it was Liar Liar. Like from the beginning to the end, it's sort of this one guy, he's like on his own, like thinks he knows what he wants or not want or whatever. And then how he like learns his lessons and bonds with people and stuff too. I mean, that was more with his like kid and his ex-wife, and this one's more like his friends and his girlfriend. But
there was definitely, when I was doing some research, there was definitely a lot of comparison between this and Liar Liar. It's like, it felt just like Liar Liar. It's like, it's a little different, and it's a different of a feel, but basically something supernatural kind of happens and gets in his brain, and he
Right.
starts like changing his like lifestyle as opposed to not lying. He just
Yeah,
can't
I mean,
say
he
no.
decided to do it this time
Yeah.
instead of being forced into it.
Yeah,
But it
it's
was
a
very,
little bit
I mean, it's
different.
very close, I think.
Yeah, I still think it stands up. I still think it's a lot of fun, and I still think that like his ability to act a little bit crazy in those scenes doesn't take away from the the earnestness of those scenes. With the Red Bull scene, which you were just watching an interview about.
I was watching an interview, and he said that he, like, most of it was he would just did the lines, but then he's like, let's try one after a Red Bull. And then he's like, I couldn't even get the words out. I just had way too much energy. I mean, he's already so naturally energetic. I can't imagine a Red Bull would just be too much.
So funny. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I made a comment while we were watching it, and it's this movie could not really take place in anywhere other than Los Angeles, I don't think, with the kind of shenanigans that they get themselves into.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it in Dallas. You couldn't do it like in any Midwestern Chicago, maybe Chicago, but like the fact that they're like, I run a jogging and photography class. Which is like, that's such a niche kind of idea.
Yeah, I mean, it fits very well, I think, in LA. But I think I think a lot of like metropolitan areas, you probably could pull it off. I feel like it totally could happen in New York or even when you think of somewhere like, I don't know, Dallas or Austin's already like keep weird Austin weird, so that could maybe work. But like Dallas
Austin
or
could
like,
be a
like
good
Cleveland.
replacement for us.
Well, there's quirky people everywhere, so she could be somewhere in Cleveland or Chicago or I don't know. But you're not everywhere. I agree. I agree with that. And I mean, I like that they kind of like the Hollywood Bowl part. It was kind of cool. Like that, that's kind of like iconic, and it's. Even like he was like, I've never kissed anyone on the Hollywood, on the stage at the Hollywood Bowl. I'm like, well, yeah, everybody would kind of like, that'd be kind of cool to do anywhere that there's a cool theater that you could go to. And
it's like, I think the Hollywood Bowl definitely has a much more romantic feel than like the Miller Outdoor Theater in Houston. It's too hot. It's too hot out here. Why do you want to get close to me? Get away. It's too muggy.
Maybe in January. That's okay.
Yeah, when it's nice and cooler out there. I had a comment. I made a note about their flirting style. Is it an endearing flirting style? Like, it works really well for the movies and stuff, but if someone was hitting on you the way that he was kind of hitting on her, would it have like worked, or did it feel too like I don't know what the word is. It's
almost rude sometimes.
Yeah, he's like, you're making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, I think it would definitely not work for everybody, but I think it definitely if any girl or guy had enough sense of humor to get that they are kidding and not just being straight up rude. I mean, I've had people like guys like kind of hit on me before, like back in college, but like, when they're kind of rude to you and you're like, what? And I know there was like a theory about that and stuff. And for me, if they crack and then like make the joke, then it's fine. But if they just keep going, it's like, no, you're just being rude now. Like, I'm not going to talk to you.
Quit being a jerk. The art of negging someone and being a little bit negative to build up. It's like, that's but I don't think he was doing that.
No, I don't think so either. But I think he was just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if he was actually, when they met at the gas station that first time, I'm not even sure he was completely flirting with her from the very beginning. I think he was a little like put off, like this was not a good decision what I just did. I just gave the homeless man my phone and a bunch of money, and now I'm out of gas, and like I think he might have been a little annoyed, but like, cute girl always tucks you, or like he still tried to be a little funny. And then I think within like a few lines, he was like, oh, okay, maybe I will flirt, Give
it a little bit. Things feel a little bit better. It's like, she helped me out. I don't have to be such a negative person.
Right.
But I think later on, where they're in Nebraska, like it feels the moment where they're like going to the barn and everything, that feels much better than where it was at the beginning, where it's like he's just like self-deprecating and I guess taking her role as the offended prude or whatever at some points. I don't know.
I mean, it definitely was a different type of flirting and a different vibe between the two people. And I think even, I didn't watch many interviews or anything with him. I was just kind of doing it a little bit while we were watching. But a couple times he said, like, she just has a way of communicating, on screen, but in real life too, that is just so unique. And it really is. I think that's why people like her or like get her to do things, because she's not like anybody else. She has her cadence of talking, her tone of voice, like it's all very not normal.
There doesn't seem to be anyone else really like her in Hollywood, especially in this point in the 2000s and stuff, or even later when she's did that movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, right. 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, 500 Days. Like she's got the quirky part like down packed, and it's no wonder people have such an affinity for her. She's very cute, very fun.
Yeah, but if you listen to her voice, it's actually kind of like a little bit California, and like it's real, like it's low and kind of sing-songy and just like very. I'm trying to do it. It's not really working. But.
I wonder if her voice really comes from just some of her musical background and her like history with music. And I mean, because they wrote that Munchausen by proxy wrote and sang songs for the soundtrack of this movie, so they were a real band for a little while.
Well, she was in a band. I don't know if that was the actual band she was in, but I know she was been a singer and stuff before.
She was in a band called She and Him. And then I think she's probably had a couple different things, but I didn't get a chance to research a whole lot of it. But she sang for New Girl. She's definitely
musical, though. Yeah, that's part of her thing.
Her thing, yeah. So it was cool. I really think that they got a lot of really good actors and actresses for this movie before they really hit their stride in a lot of things. There's notes about how like Bradley Cooper, of course, is in this one. This is before he makes it in Rocket Raccoon in Marvel.
Definitely earlier on in his. I mean, he wouldn't be new at this point, but he would have been like a starring like lead at this point. I would think,
because I don't think he had done The Fault in Our Stars or whatever.
He did Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh, Silver Linings
sort
Playbook,
of what kind of made him a little bit bigger.
I think. Oh, we share a birthday. Him and I both have birthdays on January 5th.
Funny.
I didn't know that. This would be considered one of his early roles from 2001 to 2008. So I think it might have been like one of his last early roles before
he's bigger.
Saturday Night Live, or He's Just Not That Into You, Hangover. Oh, it was The Hangover that really took him out and made him mainstream.
Yeah.
So
he was good. He was solid. Like, he's a good friend, character.
Yeah, he is a very strong actor. I was impressed with him. I remember when I saw this originally, and I still am impressed with seeing him in it again. He's just got some real strong emotional parts to it.
Like the girl next door, like she is, like he's sort of the guy next door. Like, I mean, he's good looking, but I mean, I don't think like when I look at him, he's not really like the best looking actor out there. He's just like he's like a normal guy you'd probably meet at a bar, kind of guy.
He's handsome.
So. Yeah, he's cute.
He's pretty handsome.
He's cute. Who is the actor who plays the boss, the British?
Rhys Darby.
He was hilarious, I thought. He's so good.
I absolutely love him. And I've seen him in Flight of the Conchords, which is like he plays the manager of a New Zealand band, and it's if you haven't watched that show, it's New Zealand humor. It's funny, and he also has been in. Can you still find
Flight of the Conchords around somewhere?
I think they're still on, touring, and I think it's on HBO, or you can find it online. I remember
you used to be able to get on HBO. Yeah.
But he plays the NPC character in the Jumanji movies.
Oh, you're right. He does. Yeah. He's in Jumanji.
So that's he kind of has that same attitude as the guy who's the no personality, non-playable character as he does as the guy in the bank. Where he doesn't really know what he's saying or doesn't really know what he's doing.
He's just like a kind of funny, awkward British humor.
It's
Not the
New
there's
Zealand.
different kinds of or New Zealand, but
He's
I mean
a
it's
Kiwi.
Oh, okay. It was really good. I mean, it was clueless and like just I don't know.
All he wants is a friend. Like
I
all he
enjoyed
needs
him.
is a friend, and he's
And he's so excited when like he gets any kind of positive feedback.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
He's so funny. I love Rhys Darby. I think he's also in What We Do in the Shadows, which is I don't know if that's true or if I think he helped make it. Let me see it. It's if you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows. He played a character, Anton. It's a TV show now, but it was a movie first, and it's basically a spoof / mockumentary of vampires in America. So like you have representation of the Interview with a Vampire, Pretty Boy kind of vampire. You have the Twilight vampire. You have like the old Dracula vampire, but they all live together in a house. And it's kind of they do interview. Funny. Yeah, it's hilarious. And now they have a TV series where it's a pretty regular show. So
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. The movie of it, and maybe even the series of it too. I haven't watched a whole lot of the series, but he is funny in all of those too. He's just like the guy that doesn't quite get it.
Yeah. Well, he plays that well.
Yeah. I have so many little notes. You know, the 8-bat and louse line about that's the guy who played the one that got him to the yes man. Or the say yes stuff.
Kind of a acquaintance friend, yeah.
Yeah, he was the same guy that played, where is it? Garth in Fun with Dick and Jane.
Oh, right, yeah.
He's the one that also worked with him that ended up working
name?
with, what?
What's the actor's name?
It's trying to find it right now. I can't remember what his name was in this
good.
one. Nick, was his name Nick? It's John Michael Higgins. You know, he's been in the Pitch Perfect movies.
I'm telling you, like you see him everywhere, but you don't always.
He's such
like they're using him. I don't even know his name.
He's such an everyman kind of person and actor.
He's so good.
Yeah. I was thinking about this earlier. He plays John Michael Higgins plays Nick, the guy who gets him into the yes program. And it almost feels like it's a direct sequel to the end of Fun with Dick and Jane, where he goes to join Enron.
That's right.
And then, Enron goes bankrupt. So this guy has to go on this life journey to figure out who the hell
connection there.
who he is, and he starts traveling around the world and stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see that as a spin-off of
you could see that connect
Nick.
The dots there, and that would be how that happened.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's
I mean, and he was kind of off the rails. Like, I don't know how. Like, he basically got arrested, like from throwing a rock
at the very
in the bank.
beginning.
But then he's like just around again afterwards. I guess he just gets out of stuff. It's okay.
This guy again.
Yeah,
just let him out.
Put him in for a night, and then he's back out again.
Want me to throw this rock through the window?
Yeah, no, he was a good little side character in this one, just like in Dick and Jane. Yeah, for sure.
It was fun. He's a good time. I was reading also that they almost cast. Oops, I paused this. They almost cast Jack Black as the lead in this movie. Oh. Which I don't know if this would have been the same thing at all.
No, but I mean, that kind of like goes into what Shallow Hal then.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It would have been the exact same movie.
Yeah, you kind of like for that one, it was like him learning to accept people, for who they are, and this one it was more like, learning to like make connections and be real with people and stuff. So yeah, it would be totally different. I think Jim Carrey would. I thought he was the right choice, but I mean, it still could have been funny, just a little different.
It just definitely wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I thought, it's funny too, at the very end, when he's in his gown and kissing and they make up or whatever, and he kind of says, like, I thought he was saying, like, we never really knew why he was saying no. I guess he was depressed or whatever, but he flat out said, like, I thought, like, once people got to know me, they wouldn't, like, want to be around me anymore and stuff like that, which, I mean, I guess I didn't know that was the reason until he said it at the end, and I didn't get that impression of him, but maybe that just goes along with, like, being depressed and, like, trying to hide it and stuff.
Yeah, that is a pretty powerful line in development of his character, especially like before all of this stuff happened. And it seems like such a long time to get to it where it is at the end of the movie. But it's like you don't ever feel like that earlier on, and that's why you say no. Like, if they had said that or established that at some point earlier, like, would it have made a difference in the movie, or is he just hasn't acknowledged it or realized it at that point? You know?
Yeah, maybe that's why. But I didn't really get that impression beforehand. But it makes sense still. But they didn't really allude to that. That's why he's pulling away from everybody. But.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to touch on before we wrap up or anything, since we both read his Memoirs and Misinformation, which is a real story of thing that's both real and not real. I think it's kind of appropriate that we've watched this movie now, because it seems like this is something that Jim Carrey, the person, would definitely have done in his life at some point. Is, you know, how I did the Landmark kind of thing, right? And so Jim Carrey's into the fact that he agreed
to do the movie, or the fact that he would actually say yes to everything.
I think that it's something like the organization of the saying yes to everything, and the, like, he does transcendental meditation. I always have such a hard time with that
medication,
phrase.
Whatever.
Not medication. But, like, just the person of Jim Carrey definitely seems like the kind of person, what we know about him through interviews and through his whole view on the universe, has definitely been to a seminar like this before. Yeah. And I think it's one of the things that drew him to the movie, because what I was reading is that he learned to do a bunch of the stuff that was actually required for the movie. He learned to play the guitar, and then played it for the movie, and then got rid of it, donated it to Zoe Deschanel, and was like, I'm never going to play this again. Here, you can have it. He did get a coach to learn, was it Vietnamese that he was learning?
No, Korean.
Korean, yeah. He got a teacher and a coach to teach him, like, small amount of Korean so he could actually do it correctly and sound real natural doing it. I think he did learn to ride a motorcycle.
The plane, too?
I don't know if he has learned how to fly a plane. It's hard to tell if that was one of those things where it was just him on a machine.
That's what it looked like. But
airplane. But then the other thing was that he actually did bungee jump at the end in the movie, where they had a stunt person that was going to do it, and he was like, no, I want to. I want to do it. So he actually ended up bungee jumping.
Well, maybe he learned. Well, one of the little interviews I saw, too, is that they're like, you know, do you identify with it or whatever? And he's like, you know, I've definitely been a shut-in before. And he's like, you know, just for various reasons, which I'm guessing is sort of depression or just needing a break from, you know,
whatever
fame and stuff. But that he kind of alluded to the fact that like sometimes you got to get over yourself and just say yes and just like get out there, and maybe that's what he was. Maybe he was like, I'm standing, like, from the book, you know, he talks about him being a recluse for a while, and maybe they came to him and be like, hey, you need to do this movie. It's a yes man movie. Just say yes. And then he's like, okay, yes.
Do
and
it.
Then
okay. Fine, I will.
Maybe that's how they got him to do it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So cool. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, it was, like I said, it was a feel-good, funny movie. Not too dirty. There was a couple little parts with the old lady, but...
Yeah, it's a PG-13. Yeah. Oh, my God. I have a note about the irony of Danny Masterson hitting on the Tilly and the nurse, just because
No,
I didn't know. We don't need to dive into it, but he's had some allegations in the last year of like. I thought it was pedophilia, which I'm glad it wasn't. But what he did was just allegations of rape or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But the way he was hitting on the nurse and the way he was like very much waiting for Tilly to show up, it's
right.
Like, this is a little uncomfortable now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It does feel more uncomfortable. Like back then when you watched it, and he just seemed like that 70s guy was kind of whatever funny, but now when you know other stuff that could be true or not true, then it's
that's that Scientology for you. Oh well. Getting on a plane and go.
About Scientology.
I don't know. I'm curious.
Don't say it on video.
Yeah, don't say nothing bad about Scientology. I haven't said anything directly bad about them. I was curious. Can you go to the airport now and just buy a ticket out? It's like
I have no idea. I don't know.
Homeland Security was like, nope. You have to have everything before you show up to the airport.
But I guess if you had your ID, what else do you need? And money.
I guess there really is. Yeah, you could do whatever.
I bet you could. As long as you go through security and do the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have a little note. I hope that my financial institution isn't letting some guy just open all of these random spam emails on his computer at work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They didn't really touch on that, but it's totally true. Yeah.
If he really is opening up all of these things, like, why are you just browsing your spam folder?
That's why you always get the things like, we found this, and now you get a free year of monitoring your identity. Yeah. I feel like I get those letters like all the time from different places.
Some guy from Wells Fargo wanted a bigger D. Clicked on the spam button.
That was funny.
Oh, well. All right. So before we wrap it up, I guess Jim Carrey did not get his paid standard $20 million on this one. He actually worked a better deal where he got 36.2% of the final gross after production costs.
That's what I would have thought he would have been doing by now. Yeah.
So this movie made was budget of $70 million, so not a very expensive budget. Mm-hmm. It's probably $20 million less than it would have been had he taken his regular salary. Yeah. But that made a box office of $223.2 million. So at that point, I think he made a total of $55 million. So pretty prudent, shrewd decision to change the way he got paid on that one.
He's got a lot of money.
And it was a runtime of 104 minutes. So cool. Nice, easy watch. So what do you give it in a rating?
Oh, like 8.5. Just good. Still holds up pretty good. Yeah.
I'll give it an 8. Yeah, it's entertaining. We get the endearing moments with his eyes when he realizes just like that he's in love and that he really misses her, and so it's kind of flat at the beginning, but I think that's the point of it.
He didn't get a whole really deep in this one, but he was good.
Yeah.
It was endearing.
Then overall, I think most people give it a little bit of about the same thing. Rotten Tomatoes gives it audience score of 66, tomato meter of 46. IMDb gives it 6.8 out of 10. So it's
above average.
Above average, but it's not too bad.
It's like again one of those ones comes on TV like Sunday afternoon. You're just like hanging around. I'd watch it again. Yeah.
I'll probably, if it's on, I'll leave it on. Cool. Anyway. That, I think, will do it for us. The next movie I think we're going to be watching is I Love You, Phillip Morris, which should be pretty interesting. You've never seen that one, I don't think.
But I read about it a little bit in the book.
Yeah, it's a little controversial.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been the Jim Carrey Project. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Brian Kondrach.
And Carrie Grant.
With me, it's Carrie Grant. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think about the movie. You can find us wherever you get podcasts if you want to just listen to us in your ear holes instead of with your eye holes. You can check us out. And you guys be safe, be good to each other, and say yes to things.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. So
say yes to listening.
say yes to listening. So awesome, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys later.